Hi, hello, welcome to the Lunar Review. I'm Vanessa and welcome to Leo season. So today is going to be all about the sign of Leo. And when I think of Leo, I think of the self, development of the self. So I think of words like selfhood, self-expression, self-confidence, self-respect, even self-consciousness, but not that type of self-conscious where you feel so aware of yourself that you just can't perform correctly. This is more a self-conscious in the fact that you are actively engaged in expressing your authentic self. Now, Leos have a very regal bearing and they act in a very confident way. So the manner in which they behave just naturally commands respect. They have a very regal bearing. They can hold themselves together really well. And they thrive. They do really well. Their finest comes out when they're in positions of leadership. And they are perfectly willing to take responsibility. They have an enormous confidence in themselves. They know that their self-worth, their self-value is really high. So Leo is yang, meaning that it is masculine in nature. So Leo will be action-oriented and will exert their will on the outside world. So for them, this inner urge to express, it will be expressed. Their creativity will be expressed. It must be. And this is a display that is for other people. It's for an audience. And this is done so that Leo can then get the feedback, the adoration, the praise that it deserves, that it needs, because it needs this to feel whole and complete and connected. So Leo, I perform, I sing, I dance, I do this all with such passion and so beautifully that the audience receives this gift and they feel great, they feel elevated, so they're cheering and they're clapping and they're screaming encore, and it's a mutual reception. So this is exactly the feedback loop, the cycle that really Leo craves. Leo is a yang sign, so it's masculine in nature. This means it's outgoing, enthusiastic, strong, lots of willpower, and Leo really wants to see and be seen. These are your knights in shining armor. These are the ones who will come and save the day. And this plays really well into its ruler, which is the sun, and which I don't know if it's coming across right now, but the sun is streaming right in through the window, right into my eyes, but I thought I would leave it since I'm talking about the sun. So basically the sun represents our willpower, our vitality, our general energy levels. It's the sparkle in our eye, and it's also the ego. And by the ego, I mean it is the mechanism that lets us know we are separate from others. It's how we know we are so that we can say, I will. Ego is a great thing because if we didn't have egos, then we would all just be one part of one giant hive mind. And there would, where would humanity be in that case? So even big ego is fine if you're a Leo. So like the sun, Leo really needs to shine, and they're amazing at it. They're great at it. They invigorate people. They inspire people. They are very big-hearted and generous and are really willing to give that love and adore people. However, they want this in return as well. They're doing this so that they can also get these things in return. They demand loyalty from those that they love or their followers. And what's interesting about Leo is that there's an honesty and a transparency about them because they operate in the light of day. They don't lurk in the shadows. You know where the Leos are. Okay, if you're at a party, they're probably the ones surrounded by people. If you're at the theater, they're probably the ones on stage in the spotlight. So with Leo, you know where they are. They're designed to shine. They're designed to be in the light and to illuminate. The symbol for Leo is the lion. And what is the lion but the king of the jungle? And king of the jungle is top of the food chain. So Leo has sort of an innate sense of their importance and this sensation of a destiny for a higher purpose. And it's because when you're king, often it's by birthright. You're born into it. And although a king might have to still fight to keep his authority or prove he's worthy of the position, still the position is there by birthright. And you can see how this type of self-importance in a Leo can get very out of control, can get crazy. I don't know if you've ever talked to someone who tried to convince you that their opinion of a movie or a book was absolute and that it was a cold hard fact that this movie was the best, and they could not distinguish their subjective opinion from reality. See, this would be Leo, degrading into hubris and arrogance and domination. So Leo does have to really guard against that because, as they say, pride cometh before a fall. And if a Leo falls hard, then they will have to retreat into the den and lick the wounds, basically, and really have to go inward and seek answers, which for a Leo is entirely possible, but might be a little bit more difficult because, again, they're a yang sign, so they're projecting outward, and also it's a sun sign, and the sun radiates, the sunshine. This is very different than signs that are ruled by the moon. For example, the sign before Leo is Cancer, and Cancer is ruled by the moon. So Cancer is all about going inward, and it's also an emotional sign, but it's all about retreating and feeling and being in the dark, in the lunar world. So this is something that definitely Leos would have to guard against. Leo is a fire sign, so this is where their passion and their sense of drama and large appetite for life and just like a lust for excitement and adventure. It's a very fiery, passionate sign, and Leos will be able to find the people, be able to surround themselves with the people who will help them rise, because that's what fire does. Fire rises. It's a very yang motion to go up and outward. And the type of fire that Leo is, I liken it to, I visited a castle here in Poland, and in the bottom of this castle, there was an enormous furnace. I was amazed about how much firewood it would take to keep this castle warm in the colder months here. So they had this huge furnace and all these vents, and it would lead to different fireplaces in the palace. And people would naturally, of course, gravitate to those rooms where the heat was, and they would socialize and have comfort and joy in those rooms. And I feel that that is the fire of Leo, that it's going out and attracting people, and it's in your benefit to be around this fire. You get comfort, you can cook food, you feel happier, more secure, more social when you're around the fire. So this, I think, is a powerful, attractive quality of the Leo fire. Fire is associated with intuition, and I think Leos have a really good sixth sense, a good sense of timing. They just know what to say, when to say it, and how to say it. That's why they're so good as performers. They have an innate sense of how to present themselves and what will work for other people. In Chinese medicine, the fire element, the emotion related to fire, is joy. And I feel that this is part of the charisma that Leo has. It's just this innate, almost childlike sense of joy. Like, let's just have a good time, even if we're working. Let's make this fun. Leo is a fixed sign, and we say a sign is fixed when it occurs in the middle of a season. So in the middle of a season, it's pretty much status quo. There's not too much going on as far as change goes. And as this relates to Leo, we would say that Leos like to maintain and keep control. They like to have power, and they like to keep power. They're very comfortable in this role. They, being fixed, their tastes, their predilections, their likes, dislikes, they're pretty set. They know exactly what they like and what they don't like. And there can definitely be a stubborn and very willful side to Leo. And also this ability to just stick with something from start to finish, just to the bitter end. And I think of my own father as a really good example of a Leo, because when he was 16 years old, he was a soda jerk, meaning that he rented out some counter space at a local pharmacy or drugstore, because then that's where you would go for like hang out after school, and or Saturdays you would go get some soda, or a Sunday. So he rented out some space so that he could sell sodas. And he told me that the key to making money was that he would buy the cheapest syrup possible and serve it really cold, because he told me that if you drink something really cold, you can't actually taste it and you just rely on the smell. So he has been entrepreneurial since the time he was 16 up until basically the end of his life. So he was able to maintain that that position. He was entrepreneurial, and no one was going to be his boss. He worked very well with others, but certainly he was king in his own realm. He was the monarch, and he didn't need a boss. He was self-motivated, and he could see projects out to the bitter end, and he also had a very good innate sense of what the market liked. He even tried his hand at designing bags for women, knowing nothing about the likes and dislikes of women and fashion, but he had that innate sense of what would be hot on the market. So yeah, I think of him as a very good example of Leo energy. You can look to your own chart to see what house Leo falls into, because you may or may not have planets in Leo, but everyone has Leo in their chart because it's one of the 12 houses. So you can look to see what house this is, because where Leo is, this is where you're probably a bit of a performer, or you love a little drama. The drama could get your blood pumping. This is where you might know the value of entertainment. This is where you could also be a leader and comfortable with authority, or this is where your courage is, and maybe your romance and just that razzle dazzle. So for example, if you have Leo in the third house is about communications. You could, when you speak, people could really listen to you, and you could be an authority on a subject. You could speak, in a very entertaining way. You could be prone to exaggeration. You could have a lot of swagger in this area. For the entire month of Leo, this is probably a really good time to be fabulous. If you know you have this great talent or ability or a way that you want to shine, definitely show it. Be bold, be big, be brash. The energy of Leo will support this. So yeah, the more that you can take some part of you that is authentic and express it, no matter how big or loud, it's great, just as long as it's coming from that bold, generous, big-hearted place, then it should really be supported in this month. A lot of people might say, hey, don't go overboard, but I would say for this month, definitely go overboard. And yeah, I think of Leo as, just doing so well in the light that I was thinking of this analogy. I don't know if you've ever had a ring on or a piece of jewelry that was made of a gem, and it just happened to catch the light right, and so all of a sudden your ordinary kitchen just lit up like a disco. Or, I think of gold, beautiful, precious gold. In the dark, it's just like any other metal. So take advantage of the light, and as always, enjoy, and I will be back again.